Hello guys, just a quick disclaimer before this video starts. Now you're going to hear a little bit of construction in the background, and at certain points as I'm speaking you're going to hear my puppies in the background playing. I'm not some mainstream YouTuber that is basically being paid by people or sponsored by someone to come and regurgitate to you a bunch of BS while I'm getting paid very good for it, and my face is being put all over YouTube simply because I am part of the YouTube system. No. Also, the reason why I have to make this disclaimer is because very soon all our little small channels, everybody that defends our rights, everybody that is the real YouTubers as well, are basically being swept under the rug. And we don't really have a platform anymore. And if we are going to have a platform, it's definitely not going to be a platform where we defend our rights. No, you're hearing me for who I am, speaking about what's really happening with our countries right now. Everything that you guys can see, not just this blind BS that is being regurgitated to you by mainstream YouTube channels while they got a platform, and everybody who actually made YouTube is basically chopped liver to these corporate mainstream dirtbags. All right, let's begin the video. Hello guys, welcome today. Now in the background you're going to be hearing a little bit of noise of construction, sawing and cutting. You know, if you're going to record something, why not record it in your natural environment where everybody can still hear you, but they can also hear your natural environment. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, especially if you're going to be making a video like the one I'm going to be making right now, and you're going to be hearing relating what's happening with her rights here in North America. Now, I live in North America, and I'm pretty close to the Canadian system here, and I'm watching what's happening in Canada, what's happening with the rights of the people who are right now working hard in Canada, trying to survive in Canada, paying their taxes, raising their kids. Being part of the education system that's in Canada right now is a complete shame. And yes, paying taxes to a system that on paper, and when you look on TV and you look at the news in Canada, and it gives you the idea that everything in Canada is okay, that everybody in Canada is well off, and that if there's any poverty or any misery in Canada, that it is being taken care of by the Canadian government and the intelligent people that work for this Canadian government. Now, I'm just going to straight up say right now, Canada is not a democracy. Canada is not ruled by a good government. Canada is a very good country. Canada has a lot of land, like the United States, but Canada has more opportunity than any other country on this planet has right now. It has more opportunity. It has the ability to treat its citizens better than any country has ever had in its existence, especially with the kind of technology and the kind of benefits and the kind of abilities that we have today, especially with all these scientists and all this media and all this social justice telling us that we have never been so evolved, that we have never had the opportunity to do so good in our lives and our existence if we only just swallow the education that we're being educated with in today's times, which is complete sodomy. It's complete destruction of just ourselves. Our future, our lives, everything, our culture, everything that we have is being taken away from us. We watch these programs on TV that are mainstream, that are pumped into our kids' ears. And people say, well, you know, don't watch TV, don't listen to the music. Okay, well, I want to go live my life. I want to go do an activity. And it's influenced completely by what this system's trying to indoctrinate us with. And it is some sort of like new world order of not having rights, of censoring everything that you say. You cannot offend your government. You cannot offend anybody. You cannot have your own opinion unless it is something that you're regurgitating from what you watch from TV, something that you have been indoctrinated with at school. Now, it seems pretty intense the way I'm describing this, but this is exactly what is happening. And then when people try to get together in communities and try to say, hey, listen, this is not the country that, you know, we made or live in or immigrated to, there's always going to be a reply of you're racist, or you are prejudiced, or you are some sort of extremist, or your points of views are a bit harsh or offensive, or you're being homophobe, or you're infringing on another person's rights, or you're offending someone. That is the climate that is right now in Canada and most of the major cities in the United States, especially places like New York and in the north, where there's more control, where the system is not just rural and there's still a lot of farmland, where people are literally shoved into cities. This is where it's become the worst. And Canada, the problem with Canada is that Canada is cold. It's cold. It's not like the United States where you can just go off and do whatever at whatever climate and temperature you want, depending on which state you live in. In Canada, there's a certain point in this season, and this is how it is almost 80% of the time in Canada, where you cannot do anything. You cannot just go out and just make a life. You cannot just go choose whatever. It is a very cold country, and there is opportunity. There is the ability to do so much. There is the ability to own so much land and have a good future, and not have a future where you're spoiled, but have at least a productive future where you are making something out of yourself and for your family. And yes, in turn, you're making something out of your country because you are a pioneer of your country. No, in Canada, and now in the United States, and for a long time in the United States, and people actually study the history, but right now Canada is seeing it 100%, where this whole American dream, this whole land of opportunity is a joke. It's a game. You have to give up so much. You have to sacrifice your culture. You have to sacrifice everything you are, your health, even your life, your freedom. And if you are well off, you are someone who knew someone else. So no matter how good you may have it in a place like Canada, if you do not get your butt ripped up by the tax, if you do not indoctrinate your children with what Canadians have to be indoctrinated in order to be Canadian citizens and be left alone by the system, you are not to have any of those freedoms. You're not to have any rights respected. Basically, if you're not indoctrinated by what everybody right now in the West has to be indoctrinated with, this whole pushing of radical LGBT, pushing of censoring our entire existence, anything that we say is just offensive to anyone, where the system is saying you cannot say anything. You can just not say anything. If it comes to defending your rights, if it comes to questioning a law, if it comes to questioning something that we imposed on you, you are hateful. You are wrong, to the point where they're saying that it is a hate crime, where they want to put you in jail, for years of your life. When if you look at the Canadian system has never been a system where you go to just jail for years of your life for making a simple mistake. That's not the worst of it. Okay, now what about when you just go live your life and you go say, hey, I don't want my kid to be indoctrinated by this LGBT, what you guys are pushing onto kids. I don't find that normal. I don't want to teach my kid about this. Like literally, you could possibly have your kid taken away by social services. You just look the wrong way, or you say something that's wrong, or you say that you're depressed, and you happen to be in the scope of social services, you can have your child taken away just because you say you're depressed. You know what I'm saying? You say, hey, right now you guys are telling kids in elementary school that they can be a boy or a girl, no matter what gender they were born, that they can change their sex, that being a drag queen child or a drag child is okay. You know what I'm saying? This kind of stuff that we see on queer kids stuff when you look at YouTube. Everybody's saying, hey, this is inappropriate. Yet, everybody that is speaking out against this stuff is being shamed, being called basically a piece of garbage, and having their stuff censored, their stuff shut down, their lives affected, them put in jail. Well, this little 1% of the population that everybody disagrees with has complete unlimited access to abuse us whatever way they want. To the point where if there's a problem within a family and the police come, they can charge a man or a woman because they had a domestic issue. But one of these people in these LGBTs have an issue, the police will say, hey, do you want to press charges? You know what? Maybe we shouldn't press charges. We don't want this trouble coming to your family. But they will go and they will affect a middle-class person who has been working to death for the past decade and just could not go to work one day, or just had a freak out or broke down, and they can be hit with a book. They can be placed in jail for as long as this judge or this prosecutor wants to put this person in. And it's sad because that is how the entire country of Canada is. You know what I'm saying? We need punishment. We need discipline. We need a justice system. We need authority to be respected. But to the point where that authority and that justice system and that system becomes this social justice, communistic, halfway genocidal eugenics, you know what I'm saying, choosing who lives, who gets to speak, who doesn't get to speak, who gets to be warm, who gets to eat at night, in a country with so much opportunity, that's when people are literally being put in tyranny. But the only reason why they can't really see the tyranny is because everything that they're watching on TV, all the music that they're hearing, they're being indoctrinated into accepting this because they got little voices on TV and in the media and in the music and all over social media by sponsorship and commercials, and people that are working hard who are being paid to promote these movements and these ideas are basically telling your kids that this is okay, while your kids themselves are feeling the pinch. Why do you think the suicide rate is so high? Well, they're telling us that you can be free, you can be happy. The biggest suicide rate comes amongst people who are transgender, who are changed their sex. And instead of being educated on these things, instead of being educated on how our systems can actually hurt people and destroy people, how this overuse of stimulation can actually ruin people's lives, ruin people, destroy people to the point where people can't even work as a community, they can't even work as a family, they can't even go to work and be happy, they can't even come home and be happy with what they're paid with. So even people who have enough are ruined by this media, are put down low by this system, or put down low by all these expectations that are nothing. You know, before you were expected to be a good father, to be a good mother, to be at least a good athlete, to be at least a good worker, you know what I'm saying, to have good values. You know, when you went to church, how today everybody who's supposedly a Christian is a bigot. Well, this system that's telling you not to be Christian, telling you to basically be satanic, to sodomize your children, give up your rights, give up everything, is the biggest bigot system in the world. And it's telling you that you can't even have your beliefs of going to church, being a community, being together. Somehow that is radical. Somehow that is fair game to getting your kids removed by the social justice programs or the social services programs. Why? Because you say, I want my rights respected. Because I want my young daughter to grow up to be a strong woman. And you just saying, I want her to grow up to be a strong, healthy woman. Someone in these LGBT programs can cringe at you, can lift their eyebrow at you, and can even report you and say that you have committed some sort of hate crime, that you are abusing your child because you are telling your young daughter that she deserves to grow up and be a nice, strong woman and have a nice family. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we are wrong for that. They even got entire YouTube channels like TED Talks dedicating their videos to shaming us, to saying that, hey, why not be a lesbian? Why not be gay? Hey, why is people telling you out there that you should go have a family? Why is people telling you that you should have traditions and expectations? You know what I'm saying? That they even got on TED Talks videos that they're defending pedophilia, saying that why don't you put people who are pedophiles in the same tree as LGBT, in the same wing as LGBT, to the point where literally pedophiles are being protected just like the people in LGBT. So if someone wants to hurt a child, rape a child, do whatever they want to a child, it's okay because it's protected under LGBT. And if you say something like this, you can be put under the radar. You can be looked as bad. You can be looked at hate speech because you simply told the truth. Or someone could say, hey, this person is saying something against children. This person's hurting children, and they won't even listen to your video. They'll just prosecute you. They'll go after you. Why? Because you're questioning what they are doing. What they are doing to our people, to our citizens, our families, your family, who you are, your neighbors, the people that you know, your own children are under these people's scope. And the reason why they're punishing us and making us feel so terrible is because these people have lost control. They're no longer law-abiding people. They're no longer people that are running a healthy system. They're aristocrats. It's an autocratic system that's electing itself. When they said off with the king's head after the War of the Roses, you know, they didn't tell you that they were removing this aristocracy so that they can install a system that is a bureaucratic system where all these people who replace the kings all become little kings and queens, where they are forming a little democratic system, a little council, just like the Roman council, of people who are all little kings and queens of each municipality, each state, or each province, or each region, or each city. These people all get together and sit in that council and make up what's going to happen with your life, but they don't get affected by it. And that's what they call democracy. Instead of having one person or at least 100 people under that one person deciding everything in the country, now it's one person that they call the prime minister, the president, and what's under him is about like 10,000 people, which is nowhere close to being a fraction of the actual population of the country, who's making all our decisions, who's setting all our rights and things, and they are calling this democracy. And then they're saying that because they put some character in our face every 4 years, like out of 5 people we can elect, that they have chosen all their little buddies. You know what I'm saying? That they call that democracy because we have to choose amongst their friends. And if we don't choose properly amongst their friends, if one of their friends that we are choosing are too patriotic or like some sort of Donald Trump or question the system, hey, guess what? Now that candidate is hateful. And it's a game because that candidate is one of them. He's just playing it like he's your patriot, like he's your leader, like he's going to become your new king and lead you to, you know what I'm saying, to heaven. No, it's manipulation. It's just a lie. And we are paying into it. And we are in this fake democratic system just pretending to have our rights respected. We are losing our rights every single day. We don't even have rights left. And the rights that we do have left are all manipulated, are all being run by social programs. That's why they got social services, to make sure that those little rights that we have left
are still being rinsed out to the maximum, where these people can exploit us, tax us to death. And if we say anything wrong, now those little simple rights that we have can have our children taken away, can have our animals taken away, can have every aspect of our lives taken away, to the point where you might as well just duct tape a person's mouth shut